Hello siblings, welcome to Scout the Pages. Today we are going to be reading the first book in the Creepers series by Edgar J. Hyde. This is The Piano. I picked up these books, all 5 in this series, from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 for each book. They have little illustrations in them, so that's a nice little touch for something that's only $1.25. They are supposed to be, I think, like a budget knockoff Goosebumps, and I'm interested in that. I'm a scaredy cat, and these are supposed to be horror for children, so I am kind of nervous because I do usually get pretty scared of children's horror books like Coraline and Thornhill. Those gave me the creeps. This is called Creepers. I have some expectations of what the genre should be. Let's see how it goes. I'm kind of nervous. I've never seen anyone talk about these, and I looked them up on Goodreads, and they were very hard to find. You would think a book would just be on Goodreads, but apparently it's kind of obscure. So wish me luck. Let's get into it. Let's start reading this and see where it takes us. It's very short and the font is massive. This seems to be for a 6 to 8-year-old audience range, so we'll see how that goes. You know we have expectations for the messages we send children on this channel, so let's get into our honest review of this. There will be all of the spoilers in here. This book is not going to be very complicated, I don't think. If it's anything like R.L. Stine, it's supposed to be scary, so it's about the experience. But yeah, if you're curious about this book for your child, I will let you know, because this is a good budget pick, right? If you need to get your kid some books for a road trip or something, this is very cheap. We have an English degree over here, not a math degree, but I believe it was about $6-ish for all 5 books. So that could be some entertainment for cheap for your child. Let's get into it. I will let you know what I think of it.
One day I feel alright. The next I'm looking for the light, for the light, for the light.
Okay friends, so I have started Creepers book 1. This book was only $1.25 and I can feel it. It's not looking positive for us. I am very uninterested, unfortunately. I have 5 of these books now, so wish me luck on that note. But this is basically about 2 parents and their 2 children, and they go on like a trip for Easter, and on the way home from this road trip they go to an antique shop that has like instruments in particular, and they buy a very, very, very cheap traditional piano. And within chapter 2, so it's not a spoiler, it happens pretty much immediately, the piano starts playing itself in their home, and none of them react really appropriately. I would have thought the parents would have been a little more nervous and skeptical, saying that they have 2 children in the home, one a teenager and one who's about 7. But they both say multiple times throughout the first like 4 chapters, oh, it's just a trick of the light. I don't know if they know how like the senses work and what a trick of the light means, but that's generally like a visual hallucination, not an audible one. It's not a trick of the light, it's a sound, so they're hearing the piano play. They repeat that so much throughout this. The parents just keep brushing it off and keep saying it's a trick of the light, but that doesn't even make any sense at all. So not off to a great start. The writing is extremely shallow, extremely simple. That's okay because it seems like this is probably for like a 7 or 8-year-old. With that said, I have some issues with it since it is for children. If this was just for adults, I would just say it's poorly written and move on. But my main issue is the reinforcement of oppressive gender norms. There's a lot about like girls do this, boys do that, and that's how it is. Moms do this, dads do that, that's how it is. Dads don't have to help, moms do all the work, that kind of thing. Not a fan of that. We don't love the reinforcement of like poor fathering styles, and we don't love the lack of representation in any way. It's just kind of whitewashed patriarchy enforcing general fiction, and it's not scary. It's supposed to be budget Goosebumps, and I'm not feeling it. It's not scary at all. It's not even written kind of eerie. Like the tone is very just dry. There's no suspense or anything. I'm not scared, and I'm a scaredy cat, so I usually do get scared very easy. I'm on chapter 5 now, and it's just not much. It's not much. I so far am of the opinion that you should just read R.L. Stine, and that's shocking for me to say since I didn't love his books generally as an adult, but here we are. I would rather you read that than this personally, but we're gonna continue on. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Good morning, siblings. I was on chapter 5 last night before I laid in bed, and I actually finished this out. I am getting ready to go to the aquarium right now, so it is very early in the morning. We have to drive very, very far. But I finished this last night and my thoughts are pretty conflicted. I'm going to have to put up a final graphic right here so that you can see what I ended up landing on after about a week of contemplation, since I pre-film a lot. This book was okay. The beginning, I hated. I was very much dragging my feet to pick this book back up after chapter 4. The writing is just not good. And there's some things that happen in the first few chapters that I had mentioned that were just awful. They were just stupid is what I'll say. And now that I finished the whole thing, was the little plot twist interesting? Sure, a little bit. It was kind of unique as someone who read a lot of R.L. Stine. This didn't have the R.L. Stine feel, I'll say that first and foremost. But the thing that got me was that the plot twist is that the piano is playing itself because the midwife who delivered the daughter, the teenage daughter in this story, died a few years after the daughter was born and is now her guardian angel, and she had been a pianist and a midwife and had gifted the daughter when she was only like 2 a little piano with the alphabet on the keys, and then she put her spirit in a piano, and the piano was trying to tell them not to buy the house that they were thinking about buying. That's the whole book. They were thinking about buying a house that would have removed them from their like little neighborhood, but it would have given them a huge yard and tree, and there would have been a greenhouse, and the parents were doing it for very good reasons, okay? The thing that really pissed me off about this plot, one, I think it's a horror, so the twist should have been more negative. I get that it's for kids, so you know, there were some scary moments in here. There was like a storm that I thought was written well enough that it would probably scare a 7-year-old. It didn't scare me because I knew what was happening and what was going on, but I could remember myself as a kid being in that situation and getting kind of scared. So props to the author for making a storm kind of scary. But the thing that I hated is that the piano was telling them not to buy the house and was getting upset by, so playing very angrily every time they made a step towards selling the house, okay? They toured a house, and then 2 days later a storm hit, and a tree, the giant oak tree outside of that house, crashed through the house that they were gonna buy and killed the people living in it. And so the teenager figures out, oh, this piano is my guardian angel. She didn't want us to move into that house because it could have been us who died under that tree. And what I would like to point out is that's a fine plot choice, that is. But make it make sense. They wouldn't have died, okay? They wouldn't have died. That nobody tours a house and 2 days later owns the house and moves in and lives there. That's not how this works, okay? That's not physically possible. It takes a long time to finalize paperwork and sell a house. It goes into escrow. Sorry, maybe I have too much adult knowledge for this book, but that doesn't make any sense. With that said, this book was $1.25, and I did get not scared and not even creeped out, but I did feel like a kid would get quite scared at a certain point in this book. Not too scared, but scared enough. And I also think there were points in this book that were scarier than the author made them. Like, it was obviously just things that were casually mentioned, but I think finding a dead body in a piano would be horrifying. And talking about the dead person kind of situation, there were some eerie moments like that. So if that's the intent, to be eerie, not creepy, like I didn't get creeped out, but I had like an eerie feeling about the way that everybody was handling the situation, but that wasn't the intent. It was trying to be eerie situationally and plot-wise, and it was not. It was just eerie in the sense that I didn't understand why these adults were behaving this way. It didn't make any sense that these adults would have made those choices, saying that there's a haunted piano in their house, and they wouldn't want to scare their children and put them in danger. But it felt to me like they were being very neglectful and not great parents. So would I recommend this to adults? Absolutely not. This was not interesting. It was not good. If you want to read a horror story that will be kind of creepy and a little bit better plotted out, R.L. Stine. I know. For me, that's kind of shocking. I don't really love R.L. Stine. I think it's all right, but I think his plots are very recycled and repetitive, and they're just not very unique anymore. That's a my personal opinion thing. But now compared to this, go read R.L. Stine instead of this. If you're looking for kids horror as an adult, read Coraline by Neil Gaiman, read Thornhill by Pam Smee. There's this graphic novel, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. This was not good. Now, if you're going on a road trip or you have a kid who reads a lot and wants to read something that's like scary, but not scary at all really, but will give them that scared vibe. They will feel scared as a little kid. This would be fine for like a 6 to 8-year-old, but I think the closer you get to preteen, the closer you're gonna get to them realizing the problems within this book, and the writing style is bad. Also, I'm gonna mention it again because it me off, and it my husband off when I mentioned it to him. The first time this piano plays, the first 3 times this piano plays, the whole family is there. That is 4 individuals, 4 humans with consciences, 4 people with brains. They walk down, watch the keys of the piano play, listen to the deafening sound of the music playing angrily, and the father multiple times says, "It must be a trick of the light." Honey, you can't hear light. It's a sound. You're hearing sounds. Just saying. Just saying. Okay? It's not a trick of the light. That made me really mad for no reason. Anyways, these are just not really well written. They are worth $1.25 is what I'll say. So if you have a kid, you're going on a road trip, you need something scary, this is fine. I'm gonna keep it, to be honest, for my kid because I think she's gonna be a reader. I'm gonna need all of the content I can to entertain her, and I think being exposed to things that are less good than others will help her find her own taste and her own preferences. She may not mind this, but then revisit it when she's a little older and be like, oh, that wasn't good. So I think that's part of the learning experience. So I'm gonna keep this, and I am gonna read book 2 in part 2 of this video. Please subscribe and like if you would like to see book 2, where I will painfully read the next one, which is called Stage Fright, I believe. This one seems to have witches in it. I am extremely nervous as a pagan witchcraft practicer myself. I am afraid of being absolutely offended. Anyways, it is time for me to go pack the car and the kid up so that we can go to the aquarium, and I will waste no more time talking about this. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, siblings. Stay safe and stay kind, and I'll see you in part 2.